Hello, welcome, welcome. We have some fancy photos going on in the back here. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 International Educator of the Year Award Luncheon. We are so pleased you're here, so thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Liz Brailsford, President and CEO of the World Affairs Council of Dallas-Fort Worth, and I love to look out on this very full room. We gather today to celebrate a truly remarkable educator. I'd like to extend a hearty congratulations to the 2025 International Educator of the Year, Emily Ramirez of Richardson ISD's Lake Highlands High School. Let's give it up. Emily, I look forward to hearing about your passion for education and all of your students, so thank you very much again. And as a matter of fact, I have to say this, Emily used to be an employee of the council many years ago. All things lead back to the council. I'd also like to thank our keynote speaker, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist, David Rohde. David, thank you very much for being with us here in Dallas. We have so many teachers, administrators, and educators and students in the audience from across the region, David, and I know you're going to be really inspiring to all of them, so thank you so much. The Council's Global Young Leaders Program, which is our education work, is a North Texas initiative focused on global competency and civic engagement. We need that in our schools today. We have more than 60 Junior World Affairs Council clubs across the Metroplex, and it's where students are transformed from observers to informed international citizens, where they participate in international programs and focused on leadership, globally engaged careers, civic engagement, problem solving, and cultural intelligence. Those are all skills that are absolutely critical in this globally connected world that we have today, and it's not going away. You're going to hear more about that from the Council's Director of Education, Jennifer Bowden, soon. But first, I just want to thank you. Our important work would not be possible without your support. The sponsors of today's luncheon enable the Council to provide students with the tools and skills to make a positive change in our community, to make DFW more competitive economically, to interact effectively with people from different backgrounds, and to compete for jobs in the global workforce. So thank you, and let's give everyone a round of applause. I would like to thank Truist. Devon, thank you. Thank you to you and your team. Brenda, thank you. You're an institutional member of the Council, and today you are the presenting sponsor, so thank you so much to Truist for being here and for being today's presenting sponsor. If you are not a member of the World Affairs Council, thank you for being here. I'd like to invite you to be a member. We're at a momentous and historic time, and some of you have heard me say that recently in our conversations, and I want to repeat it right now. We are at a momentous and historic time at the Council. In less than a year, it's going to be our 75th anniversary, and we need you with us. Next year is the 250th anniversary of our nation, and the World Cup comes to Dallas. It's a big deal. I think all of you probably know we're hosting 9 games for the World Cup. It's more than any other city in the 26 Cup, so that's exciting. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. At this precise time, right now, I believe our mission is more critical than ever in its nearly 75-year past. We need you with us at this momentous time. Please do join us as an individual member if you are not. Join us as a corporate member or join us as a partner in some other way. And we look forward to working with you, and you will be joining many people from every business sector and interest area, from high school and college students to business professionals to retirees. It's a community that's dedicated to knowledge, business, competitiveness, meaningful dialogue, and civil discourse. You can go to our website at dfwworld.org to find out all about our event and membership options. But more importantly, we have staff out there, so upon your exit, go talk to them. They want to talk to you about getting involved. And then last, I'll end with this. As president and CEO, it's very important to me that we have an engaged and active board. It's essential. And I am very fortunate to have had a one-of-a-kind chairman by my side, Brendan McGuire. Brendan's chairmanship will end at the end of our fiscal year, which ends on Monday, the 31st. Brendan, thank you for all of your thoughtful and hard work over the past 2 years. Thank you for your friendship and leadership. You've done a phenomenal job. Yes. We will be celebrating Brendan very soon, as he knows. Brendan is president of PNC Bank North Texas, responsible for overseeing all of PNC lines of business, as well as sponsorship and philanthropic and branding efforts in the region. PNC is also an underwriting sponsor for today's luncheon, so PNC, Amber, thank you to you as well. And thank you again for all of your support. And as a quick reminder, as I turn it over to Brendan, if you can, please silence all of your phones and devices that you have on you. And now, please join me in welcoming our phenomenal chair, Brendan McGuire.
Thank you, Liz. I wish my wife Helen was here so she could hear me described as phenomenal. I definitely don't deserve that. But as Liz mentioned, I have the honor of being chair of the board for the World Affairs Council for 4 more days. Not that I'm counting or anything, but it's excited. We're excited to welcome Larry Pascal as the incoming chair, and he's going to do an amazing job in the coming 2 years. So thank you, Larry. We have in our audience many individuals from North Texas private, public, and charter schools, and I'd like to thank Dr. Joe Harrington, superintendent at HEB ISD, and all educators in the audience. Your engagement in the council's work and in supporting such a phenomenal educator as Emily is essential to impacting the lives of students across the region. Would all teachers, administrators, and students in the audience please stand? Some of us are lame bankers and stuff, but all of you have the most important job in the room, so thank you. Last year, nearly 6,000 students and 1,000 educators participated in the Global Young Leaders Initiative. This important work could not be possible without all of your support. I'd like to thank Truist Bank, our presenting sponsor today, and our underwriting sponsors, including Bain & Company, Barnes & Thornburg, Haynes Boone, Cosmos Energy, PNC Bank, Raytheon, and Linda and Richard Schaefer. Additional thanks to our generous patron sponsors and the Council's Board of Directors for supporting the Global Young Leaders Program. Will my colleagues on the board and the patron sponsors please stand to be recognized? And thank you to Kathy and John Ward for your support of the 20 Under 20 program, recognizing 20 exceptional students each and every year. And I'd also like to thank Linda and Richard Schaefer for supporting student and teacher transportation at events. Thank you so much. And I see we have a few local government officials as well as members of the council, of course. Thank you. We also have a few local government officials and members of the Counselor Corps in the region in attendance. Thank you for all of your steadfast work in our community. The Council enhances classroom instruction with real-life experience through unique educational opportunities for extraordinary young people. We applaud the achievements of these students and anticipate the wonderful things in store for their future. Thank you for supporting our global young leaders of the future. Please continue enjoying your meal along with a musical performance from the Dallas Symphony Orchestra's Young Strings. Our program will resume shortly.
Hello, everyone. Hello. We hope you're enjoying your lunch. My name is Jennifer Bowden. I'm the Director of Education at the Council, and I want to thank all of you for being here to support the Global Leadership Program. I'm grateful today for this opportunity to honor Emily Ramirez. And as Liz mentioned, she actually used to be staff back 2007 to 2010. Is there anybody who was part of the council at that time? Anybody? That's our old staff right there. Stand up. Come on, stand up real quick. So some of the people here I know, Linda and John, and remember you all. So we have like 4 of our old staff during that time here to support Emily, so thanks for coming. I was lucky enough to work with Emily during those years as well, and she was smart and friendly and funny, and everybody liked her. I hear it's the same now at Lake Highlands High School, where she's won several teaching awards, many of them voted on by teachers and students. She really deserves this. Congratulations, Emily. I want to share with you more ways of how we're making a difference and things we're accomplishing in North Texas. During the last fiscal year, as you heard, we impacted about 6,000 students, approaching 1,000 teachers. We work with roughly 60 schools with something called JWAC, or Junior World Affairs Councils, on staff. Our mission is to provide North Texas students with tools to effectively interact with people from different backgrounds, improve our community, compete for jobs in a global workforce, using programs focused on leadership, civic engagement, cultural intelligence, and problem solving. This fiscal year, North Texas students have had 74 opportunities, free opportunities I will mention, including things like 6 leadership trainings with topics spanning poverty, artificial intelligence, Afghan refugees, 2 international career days with speakers on things like global business, engineering, tourism, our academic World Quest competition where our winning team, which was Flower Mound High School this year, will represent us in DC in about 3 weeks for the national competition. We've had 9 student-led discussions on topics from the elections to Korea to protest movements. We've had an art contest. We've had several social projects and service projects. We've had our top 10 JWAC awards. Students have attended numerous speakers on campus, in person, online. Plus, our students can earn a Global Leadership Certificate and a graduation cord in May, so they're currently earning those. Teachers have had opportunities to earn professional development credit through several different teacher trainings, including our 4-day global classroom, which is in July, world religion workshops, where we go to venues around DFW, and even travel opportunities. In fact, I just returned from the United Arab Emirates 3 weeks ago with a group of 12 teachers. Teachers can now earn stipends for their tireless work with us, often happening outside of the school day, and our teacher advisory board continues to meet to help direct our high school programming. In addition, as you heard, we have a 20 under 20 program that I'm excited about. It honors our most exceptional JWAC students who consistently give back to their communities and exemplify what it means to be a global citizen. We're currently in the selection process, and we have some of the readers here in this room for our 2025 class. These students excel in academics, in diplomatic leadership, in civic engagement, and in the global knowledge. Each year, students in this program are eligible to win scholarship money and also participate in a 3-day leadership training in June. So thank you again for your support for the Global Young Leaders Program. We encourage you, this is my big push, we encourage you to take this opportunity to let any teacher you know, and that could be any grade, because we work with all grades of teachers, or high school students, that's 9th through 12th. It can be public, it can be charter, it can be private, it can be homeschool. Please let them know about this amazing free opportunity. And there is a brochure on everybody's table that talks about this program, but in your actual IEY event program that was in your chair, there's a QR code, and that'll take you right to the digital version of that. and you can just share it with teachers and students. So please do that. That's my one request. And here's a short video about our Global Young Leaders program.
I am a global young leader.
As a global young leader, I can make a positive change in my community today, and my goal is to make a change in the world tomorrow.
Thanks to the Global Young Leaders program of the World Affairs Council, I'm able to effectively interact with people from different backgrounds.
Today, I'm working to obtain global competence skills to solve complex problems.
To help create opportunities for all, always respecting the human dignity.
And to better compete for a good job opportunity in the global workforce.
Be a diplomatic leader.
Be culturally intelligent.
Be civically engaged. Be a problem solver.
But don't wait, act now. Be a part of the Global Young Leaders and define your future today.
The Council has honored educators with this award since 2008. Every morning, educators across the nation take on, arguably, the most important job in the country. They work tirelessly and creatively to prepare our young. They keep the future's best interests at heart. And it is important that we recognize that educators within our reach and community as teachers, heroes, and heroines they are. Here today to introduce our honoree Emily is her former student, Sumaya Saki, Lake Highlands High School class of 2022.
Hello, everyone. It's my honor to stand before you today and introduce Emily Ramirez, who has made incredible impact on so many lives, including mine. Emily Ramirez held an BA in political science from the University of Arkansas, Oklahoma. I'm so sorry, y'all. I think the nervousness is really getting to me. Yeah, so, and she has taught courses like AP World History, ESL World History, AP US Government, and Mexican American Studies. She also has sponsored Junior World Affairs Council Club for 13 years, which is amazing. And where they held weekly current events discussion, taking students to World Affairs Council event, help student plan community service event, hosting guest speaker events, and empowering students to take leadership roles. Mr. Ramirez was my ESL World History teacher, and back in, I want to say, 2021. She made the class so fun and engageable. I was always looking forward to go to her class because of her genuine passion for the art of teaching and the ways that she made every student feel seen, heard, and valued. I served on our JWAC as a president for 2 years, and Ms. Ramirez was incredibly empowering, and she always encouraged me to push past my limits, and which one of them being she pushed me to hold a meeting myself and represent my country of Afghanistan, which is awesome, and she made me to believe in myself and develop my leadership roles and not be so fearful of talking in front of everybody, which is I'm still fearful. My hands are shaking right now. And JWAC was the most incredible part of my high school journey. And what I learned was so amazing that I wanted to take it with me beyond the classroom. And it was what inspired me to apply for a job at a nonprofit called Mosaic Family Services as a refugee case manager, which I got the job right after graduation, which is just amazing. And it was all her support in supporting me, encouraging me to believe in myself, and thank you so much for what you've done for us students, and I'm sure they agree with me on the same page. Thank you.
That was wonderful. I was starting to cry. I'm now delighted to present the 2025 International Educator of the Year Award to Emily Ramirez from Lake Highlands High School and Richardson ISD.
Okay, this is one of those out-of-body experiences, kind of like your wedding, when people from all different time periods of your life are all in one room. Thank you so much for being here today, and I do want to give a special shout out to Lake Highlands High School. We've brought students and teachers, and thank you. And I want to give a special thank you to Dan Barrios. He is a teacher at Lake Highlands High School. He is on the Richardson City Council, and he is the assistant sponsor of our Junior World Affairs Council. I don't know how he has time for it all, but he has been the most tremendous colleague. Thank you, Dan. And thank you for my students for being here as well. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of having a teenager in your life lately, but they can absolutely astound you. They're curious about the world, often more profound than we give them credit for, and sometimes they do things that make you question everything you thought about the human mind. So much of my joy in teaching comes from witnessing these light bulb moments where I watch 15 and 16-year-olds understanding the world beyond themselves. It's magical, and occasionally it's humorous. Many of you may remember in 2013 when there was a tragic explosion at the West Texas Fertilizer Company. The next day at school, this was a major topic of conversation among my students. A group of my students was having a very animated conversation and called me over to talk to me about it. And I love it when students ask me questions. I'm always happy to answer questions, and I love it when they're following what's happening in the world. One of the students asked me how a plant could have exploded. And I went on to explain as best I could the chemistry about ammonium nitrate being explosive, but he still looked very confused and asked me again, but how can a plant explode? And I realized at that moment that most 15-year-olds don't really go around using the word plant in the industrial context. Yes. Teenagers will keep you on your toes. Their misunderstandings can be funny, but often they reveal a deeper truth. These kids are trying. They are eager. They just don't always have the vocabulary or context to understand everything that's happening in the world yet. And some of their knowledge gaps are more troubling, like the student who pointed to Africa on a map and asked, if that one's Africa, which one is India? Or more recently, when college students were asked whether they thought Trump was an authoritarian, and the most common response was, what's an authoritarian? It's in moments like these that teachers walk a tightrope. We have to be able to answer students' questions about politics without being political. That's why the World Affairs Council has meant so much to me. Through our JWAC program, my students get to see what civil, informed dialogue about current events looks like. They hear the vocabulary that we're learning in class in a real-life context.
They watch grown-ups who come together to talk about politics without yelling at each other. It's inspiring. Last year, I took them to a council event about AI and the global workforce. One of my students leaned over and whispered, "Are all of these old people here just to learn for fun?" Yes. It was a beautiful moment. They got to see that learning is a lifelong pursuit, not just something that you do for a grade. And that's what JWAC has given me, the chance to witness students truly discovering the world. Yes, they can be shockingly unaware sometimes, but they can also be incredibly deep thinkers. Let me tell you about my JWAC kids. They stay after school every Wednesday for fun to talk about geopolitics. Their preparation for academic world quest far exceeds anything that I ever did when I was in high school. They find global issues that they care about, present about them to their peers, and organize community service projects inspired by what they've learned. One of my favorite moments happened during a small group current events discussion. I overheard a student who was hesitant to share her opinion because she worried that it would be unpopular among her peers. Another student gently said to her, "It's okay. Even if I disagree with you, it'll help me understand my own opinion better." Honestly, a lot of adults could learn from that. So to the World Affairs Council, thank you. Thank you for helping my students see that vocab words aren't just test material, they're real. Thank you for giving some of them their first encounter with a revolving door. You should have seen their faces. It was great. And thank you for, is it on? Okay, sorry. Thank you for showing them that being informed is powerful, that civility matters, and that curiosity doesn't end with graduation. I'm incredibly honored to receive this award, and even more honored to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would call for another round of applause, but that was pretty impressive, right? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Larry Pascal, partner at the law firm of Haynes & Boone and incoming chair of the World Affairs Council. I'm honored to introduce today our guest speaker, David Rohde. Mr. Rohde serves as the National Security and Law Editor at NBC News and as a Global Affairs Analyst for CNN. He previously worked as a journalist for the New York Times, Reuters, and The New Yorker. Mr. Rohde is an award-winning investigative journalist. In 1996, while working for the Christian Science Monitor, he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his reporting on the Srebrenica massacre in Bosnia. He also contributed to the New York Times coverage of Afghanistan and Pakistan that received the Pulitzer Prize for international reporting in 2009. He is the author of 5 books, including his most recent one, Where Tyranny Begins, the Justice Department, the FBI, and the War on Democracy. A graduate of Brown University, where he studied history, he lives in New York with his family. Please join me in welcoming David Rohde to the stage.
Thank you very much. I'm very short, or a lot shorter than you, so thank you all for having me here. I've told some of this already, but my, my great-grandmother is from Texas, from West Texas. Her last name was Harvey, and my grandfather's name was Harvey, and my father's name is Harvey, so it is wonderful to be back in Texas. My roommate, when I was covering the war in Sarajevo, was from Beaumont. His name was Kit Rohn, and this works in other parts of the country, but for the record, Kit was his legal name, K-I-T, and maybe that's the norm here. His sister, Misty, legal name M-I-S-T-Y. I knew I shouldn't have used that joke in Texas. Just let me out of the room at the end, okay? I want to thank Larry and Brendan and Liz for having me here, and thank you so much for the kind introduction. And I want to salute Sumaya for what she just said. I love Afghanistan. I love your country. I spent years there. I'll talk about my time there, and I miss it. But thank you for coming here and for all you're bringing to this country now. And I want to congratulate Emily. Who does not remember their high school history teacher, particularly AP history? I do. His name was John Atwood. This was in Freiburg, Maine. He didn't do this to me, but if he saw any student falling asleep in the back of the class, he would hurl an eraser at them. No, you don't do that. You're a more engaging speaker than Mr. Atwood. I hope I am too. I want to thank you all for your incredible work that you do at the World Affairs Council. In short, I am a believer in the world. I've spent my life traveling and covering the world. And let's be honest, these are difficult and divisive periods around the world. And they're also, I want to be honest about this as well, it's a difficult and divisive period in our country as well. But I am optimistic about this nation and this world. I first delivered a version of this talk, Liz was there, at the annual gathering in Washington in November of different World Affairs Councils. And after she heard me, she liked it. So I'm going to hit on the same themes that came up there. And the focus of that gathering in November of all the World Affairs Councils from around the country was seeing from the other side. So I want to talk about seeing from the other side here today for a few minutes, and then we'll have a question and answers. And a key thing about seeing from the other side, and this was emphasized in the conference in Washington, and I'll talk about these values and how they've helped me in my life and around the world, is the values of sincerity, dialogue, nuance, and empathy. And I am, again, optimistic. I think there is a way, and there must be a way, of seeing from the other side, whether it's seeing someone from another country from their perspective or someone from the other side of the divides that exist in our country. It won't be easy and it won't always work, but I promise it's worth trying to see from the other side. And if I fail to convince you, please feel free to ask me questions and push me. And if I sound naive, I accept it. To be honest, I'm trying to figure this out myself as a journalist. And I want to admit something about the news media. If you look at polls, the vast majority of Americans no longer trust the news media. They no longer trust me. They no longer trust, I would say, well, maybe I work for Lester Holt. I'm very proud to work for Lester Holt in that, in my view, he's a sort of straight down the middle, facts-driven reporter, and it's an honor to work for him at NBC News. But I'm proud of all the jobs I have. But we as journalists face a reckoning in terms of regaining public trust. And the job of any good journalist, as far as I'm concerned, is seeing from the other side. And I want to talk about how in 4 different experiences I had using one of those values helped me better handle the situation and in some cases survive. And I'll talk more broadly about the world. Our world today is deeply fragmented. It's deeply divided. Social and political polarization has created a wedge between neighbors at home and abroad. There's conflicts in multiple countries, and we live in a multipolar world which is realigning rapidly, and that's shaking many elements of the global order that we all care about. But that's what makes these 4 values more important than ever. I'll first talk about sincerity, and some of these anecdotes will sound strange, but this is for the life I've lived. My wife can tell you all about what it's like to live your life with me. I was covering the war in Bosnia as it was ending in 1995, many years ago, And it was the final phase of the war, and Serbian forces gained control of a town that was a safe area that the UN was protecting called Srebrenica. The town fell, thousands of Bosnian Muslim men tried to escape through the woods, and survivors made it out. They made it back into another part of Bosnia controlled by Bosnian Muslims, and they were telling stories about massacres. I actually was on vacation when Srebrenica fell and felt horribly guilty about it. But I went, when I got back, and talked to men who said had made it through the woods, and they told stories, and there were 8 of them in particular, who told stories about mass executions, that groups of men had been caught, lined up together, and shot. They told me, one group told me about being held in a schoolhouse and being taken out to a field and shot. Another one told me about being held in a soccer field and then being taken out and shot. And they described these areas in such great detail that I actually had a chance to go find these graves. I made one trip into Serbian-controlled territory and found them and reported on them. And then I went on a second trip when an American official, who I won't name, gave me a map with circles on it that showed where there were other graves where there appeared to be fresh digging. When I made it to those graves, I was arrested by local Serb security forces and imprisoned and accused of being of espionage. I survived that by showing sincerity to my cellmates, by showing sincerity to those Bosnians, and through the work of many journalists, of the late Richard Holbrooke, who many of you may know. He was actually leading the Dayton peace talks about Bosnia when I was held, but he was able to pressure the Bosnian Serbs who released me. So, and this summer, I will be going back to Bosnia for the 30th anniversary of the fall of Srebrenica. Those graves were exhumed, and nearly 8,000 bodies of men and boys were found. And I was just talking about this. I will always consider that the most important journalism I've ever did. But again, sincerity, belief, trusting those survivors, they were telling the truth. Another strange anecdote. While I was covering the war in Afghanistan for the New York Times after the 9/11 attacks, I was at a different stage in life. This was 13 years later. I had promised my family I would not get any more trouble. I was going to be this very, safe, clever foreign correspondent, and ambition got the best of me. I was working on a book. It was my last trip in Afghanistan. I think I mentioned I'd just gotten married, and I decided that I needed to have a Taliban character in my book. And part of it was competition. I had a colleague at the New York Times that had just interviewed a Taliban commander, and he was fine. During our honeymoon, we were actually in Paris, and there was a picture of Le Monde, and they had a story about another French journalist who'd interviewed a member of the Taliban. To make a long story short, I heard about a commander who had done interviews with other journalists in the past. His name was Abu Tayyab, and he had done an interview with a French journalist and a Greek journalist. I met the French journalist, and she said, "I think you'll be okay. You're in more danger as an American, but I think he wants to get his story out. He wants to tell the Taliban story and why they're fighting." I went to that interview, and he immediately kidnapped me and an Afghan journalist named Tahir Ludin and an Afghan driver named Assad Mangal. We were worried they were going to kill us immediately, but it quickly became clear they planned to hold us for a long time and get prisoners for us and money. They took us from Afghanistan over the border into Pakistan. And then sincerity was the first value. The next one, dialogue. I tried to create dialogue with my guards. They were fascinated with me at first, then they were bored. And I'll tell you this, I'm still very boring according to my 14 and 10-year-old daughters. But anyway, this will sound like, again, a crazy example, but the way I created dialogue with the Taliban was through song. So I don't know how it even started, and I've written about this when it came out, but it was one of the most extraordinary moments of my life. We found out that they knew some Western songs, these young Taliban fighters, and we were sort of being held in a mud hut, and there was a carpet on the floor. It was not too terrible, and they had their Kalashnikovs sitting on the floor and machine guns, old Soviet-made machine guns in the corners, and they were singing different local songs, and eventually I found this song that they knew. I know this sounds crazy. This song that they knew, and I was also talking about how I just married my wife. The joke was that I was sort of the worst newlywed husband ever. But we ended up finding this one song we could sing together, and this is about dialogue and finding commonality. They never, I talked to them about this wedding ring, which I had because I just gotten married. They never took it from me, and it was a way to try to humanize myself, to make this person from the other side of a divide see you. So the song we sang together was the Beatles song. Sorry, She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't have a very good singing voice, but I get emotional thinking about it. But, you know, it was an amazing experience in terms of humanizing or understanding these young fighters. Some of them were bored. Many of them wanted to go fight American soldiers. They got tired. We were there for 7 months altogether. And in the end, the Afghan journalist who had set up the interview, he knew the commander we went to interview, but had betrayed us, helped me escape from captivity. And I was just telling folks at the table, his name is Tahir Ludin, and Assad Mangal was the driver. They now live in the United States, and Tahir is a proud American citizen. Thank you. Nuance, quickly. I just finished a book, and this is coming to the United States right now. I tried to write a history where tyranny begins about the Justice Department and the FBI, which is seen now in our country by both sides as like this, no one trusts the civil servants, the public servants who are working in the FBI and the DOJ. They're either anti-Trump or you know, pro-Biden. And so I tried to write a history of this. And the point of this and this nuance was that most of the people who work at these jobs, and it fits in somewhat whether they're diplomats or not, was the nuance that we need public servants for our democracy to function. And what I found in the scope of my book was that there, you know, right now there are people in the Justice Department who serve President Trump, and they are sincerely trying to enact his agenda. He won the election. He's called for changes in the Justice Department. He's carrying out a crackdown on immigration, and that's a Democratic mandate, and that's what he's enacting based on what voters have said. But most public servants I've met, FBI agents, DOJ prosecutors, public school teachers, local policemen, are essentially trying to serve the public in a nonpartisan way. And if we get too far away from this nuance, seeing each other with nuance, I worry about the future of our democracy. We need nonpartisan election clerks who count the votes accurately and stick to the facts. We need nonpartisan judges who rule on elections and other issues in a fair, fact-based way. We need nonpartisan journalists who don't exaggerate stories or spread conspiracy theories that help get ratings and clicks, but stick to nuance and stick to facts. And lastly, empathy. It's really important at this moment, I think, in the United States to have empathy. And what I've found as a journalist as I talk to people on the left and the right is that, for better or worse, what each side in this country fears is the other. They see the political divide today as like the other side is an existential threat. Opponents of President Trump fear that he's going to become an authoritarian leader and jail people. We don't have evidence of that yet. We will keep reporting on it as factually as we can and let voters decide if that's true or not. And the fear on the right from President Trump's reporter was that socialists are taking over the country, that your own families are being changed. I had people talk to me feeling that religiously observant Americans were being discriminated against in this country, and that should never happen. So I try to keep, as I work today in journalism, empathy for both sides, both people who support, who are Republicans, and people who are Democrats. It's critical. And again, I just want to repeat that the superpowers we have, the values that we can use to navigate this country and our world and the divides we face are sincerity, dialogue, nuance, and empathy. And I want to say two things that I want you to avoid. I'm almost done. Apathy and anger. Apathy and anger are the enemy. Don't give up on what you believe. Keep fighting for what you believe in. Continue dialogues. Continue seeing things from the other side. And don't let anger and fear drive you either. Through sincerity, dialogue, nuance, and empathy, we can make each other better, and we can make this world better. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that's over.
I so fiercely believe in our mission that your words are very moving to me.
Thank you. I believe in it absolutely as well. Absolutely. I believe in this world and this country.
You should be a mouthpiece for our in fact, I'm going to come to you for a quote about our council and the importance of our mission. You've had such a career, David. Thank you for everything that you've done, and we're really happy that you're here. I'm going to kick us off with one question, and then I'd love to hear from all of you in the audience, and we'll have audience Q&A. And I'm going to fast forward. You talked about your past a little bit. I'm going to fast forward to today. Just in recent days, there was an announcement that there was a breach on the Signal app, and I think probably a lot of people in this audience wanted to ask about that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. There was a breach on the Signal app where our intelligence officials were speaking about the operation that we were doing in Yemen. What are your thoughts on that? Should we be worried about our national security, and what are the national security implications? And if you haven't heard, the Atlantic's Jeff Goldberg was on that thread along with our top intelligence officials. So tell us your thoughts on that.
This is a tough one to answer. I mean, it's partly technology and partly how amazing technology has become and how fast it's come, and then partly, our government and how it needs to be more dynamic. Yes, this was a mistake. Government employees are barred from using Signal to communicate with classified information. There are systems built for that. They're much more cumbersome and hard to use, but this was a huge error. We've been hearing from foreign allies that they're afraid of sharing intelligence with the United States because it wouldn't be handled properly, and this incident adds to that. And I will just say that, and I know Jeff Goldberg not super well, I've met him several times, and you guys can ask questions, but the one scenario that I don't think happened, and I'd like Jeff, or he's a nerd journalist like me, he didn't hack into a secret Signal. He doesn't have the phone numbers of the Vice President of the United States, the CIA director, the Defense Secretary, all those cabinet members. So, and we were speaking about it earlier. I think the best thing might be for the administration to say, yes, this was a mistake, and we are going to learn from it, and we're going to improve our protocols, and we should move forward.
We're going to open it up, and we'd love to hear from you. What questions do we have in the audience? And please, yes, Isai, and yes, John, thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, what's your opinion about the future of investigative journalism? Reuters, all the people you've worked for, the Times, cutting back on those staffs. Where are we going from here? Because we need you.
Thank you. One of the best parts about NBC News, and it doesn't get as much coverage, is our website, NBCnews.com. We now get 70 million unique visitors a month. That's about the same number as the New York Times. We don't have a paywall. And I'm saying that because, and we're putting up vertical video on our website, and those are little video clips. And to make a long story short, it's sort of NBC's version of TikTok. And again, as the father of a 14-year-old, I'm looking at Sumaya here, we need to. So I want you to get subscriptions when you can, if you and pay for journalism, because our old models have died out. We can't live off the ad on the nightly news, so much. We're going to start a subscription service new at NBC, but support journalism. The more money we have, the more reporters we have, and the better job we can do, because you just have more people and more time to do things that are fair. And then we need to innovate. We need to find a way to get our stories on TikTok. And NBC's doing that through these short vertical video clips that can easily be shared on TikTok and in other ways a new generation consumes their news. So it's on, I'd ask you to support us, but it's on us to evolve and tell stories in new ways.
Okay, but wait.
Oh,
TikTok, wait. Shouldn't we be worried about national security?
Any social media platform, how about that? But it's not that, and there was coverage, it was a TikTok video one of our television journalists did about the fire in the Palisades. And it got like 20 million views. Like, people are consuming their news, and there's like a fact check thing that, again, our website is putting together, which calls out sort of fake things, fake conspiracy theories that are going on around the web about, movie stars, about other things. And I just want to be honest about our need, and I talked about this, that, we can't like ignore these polls showing that we're not trusted. We have to evolve and change. And part of it too is younger people, there's people who, it was Jacob Soboroff, people telling their own stories is very powerful, and that's something, the kind of days of Walter Cronkite telling you that's the way it is are gone. And so a lot of our younger journalists are more personal when they but the same values about balance and fact.
We had him as a speaker, just as a small plug. Yes, Ray.
I have a question about the responsibility of journalists. When Jeff Goldberg found himself in what he believed to be a high-level meeting, shouldn't he have recused himself? What is his responsibility in spreading material said at a high-level meeting? Isn't that dangerous? What is his responsibility toward national security?
He first thought that when he got put in this text message, he thought he was being trolled. He thought it was a trick. There are various groups. Operation Veritas is one that set up various sting operations where they'll come and meet you and talk to you and record you and try to get you to say things. So he first thought it was a joke, and then very quickly this meeting starts to unfold. He still thought it was a joke until like he saw these texts appearing, and it was someone trying to trick him that said that basically the strikes will start in 2 hours. And this is part of the story he wrote, that he still didn't believe it, and then strikes started happening in Yemen. Then he realized he had an enormous problem. He did remove from the first story he wrote all of the detailed information, and I'll be honest with you, President Trump has been very critical of the press. What he faced if he released the classified information, he could be indicted and charged with violating the Espionage Act, that he's releasing national secrets. We have trainings for any administration can do this. Obama did several leak investigations too. But we have lawyers in NBC that have told us, if you meet someone and they want to give you a document and it's got classified information in it, you call us immediately, because even accepting the information means you can violate the Espionage Act. So I think he had a ton of legal advice about what to say in the story that didn't give up sources, methods, and military tactics. And then, Secretary Hegseth and others, DNI, Gabbard and John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, said, no, there was no classified information. And he's taken sort of a big legal risk, but because the White House has said none of this is classified, they published the second round. And I'll be honest, those were the time the F-18s took off, the time when Predator drones would be engaging. Hegseth did not share the targets. An attempt that they were trying to do to kill a certain Houthi leader. If those had leaked, and Signal is not 100% secure, it would have put American service members in danger. My niece from New Hampshire, her high school sweetheart, they got married. He's actually an F-35 pilot right now in the Marines. And so my brother served in the Air Force. So, I'm a journalist, but if Iran had been able to somehow get in that hack and knew when the planes were coming, the Houthis have shot down, they have very sophisticated missiles, but they've already shot down 10 American drones. So it was it's a serious situation. But you're right about our responsibility to not. When I did embeds in Afghanistan, I never reported anything that I was told not to report.
Thank you for their service. Thank them for their service. We're going to go to the AECOM table. Thank you for your support.
Question about students and at the Columbia University and other students being targeted for their opinions, and also just recently for someone just writing an op-ed about their opinions. Where do you think we're going? And is that not going to scare students? Is that not going to create that apathy or anger, both?
And thank you for asking that. I was going to joke, like, maybe I should have come here next year. It's like it's a lot of easy questions to answer these days. Look, I mean, I think, and I thought this in a way in the sort of 2024 election, as a journalist and you as members of the World Affairs Council and as teachers, this is a giant civics lesson for the country. So, I didn't know this, but the Secretary of State, any Secretary of State, has the power to revoke a foreigner's visa, and say, because their presence in the country or them having a visa is against the foreign policy interests or the national interests of the United States. So this is legal. It's surprising how much fewer rights. That is not legal in terms of a U.S. citizen, but revoking these visas is legal. If you saw me on my phone earlier, I was literally texting with a journalist. We're doing a story today, though, about how secret this process is. So these students are just getting approached. There's a video that came out last night of Tufts University of this Turkish woman being surrounded. The DHS agents wear masks. They do that sometimes they were ICE agents because of gangs. They'll do gang arrests, and they don't want their identities shown, but this was a young woman from Turkey who's just studying there. We don't know. We're having, and Mahmoud Halil, who was the Palestinian, there's at least been 5 cases so far, another one in Alabama, and we're working on a story today. But what's concerning, or we don't know at first where they are. It's not clear what they're charged with or what grounds they're going to be accused of. And what concerns me as a journalist is secrecy, that you have men in masks, like, arresting or detaining people. Their families don't know where they're taken and they're held. Many of them are flown to Louisiana at first. There's no history of violence among these people, and that's the way the administration is choosing to deal with the campus protests. I will note we did a lot of stories on the campus protests last year. There were rumors that they were all funded. People were looking at funded by foreigners or somehow secretly funded by George Soros. Reporters go out on the ground and talk to people and get facts. You go out in the world and meet people from other countries and cultures and learn incredible nuance. So we can't do everything by looking at things online. So internet sleuths, though, noticed that all the kids in the Columbia encampment had the same tent. So aha, they're all being provided with these tents. Maybe it's Qatar or whatever, and we'd spent all this time investigating this. It turned out they were all just buying the same tent on Amazon. So the vast majority of these protesters are American citizens, young Americans on these campuses who, they should peacefully, and more than anything else, you must peacefully express your views in this country. That's what they were doing. So there might be more of these visa revocations. We haven't seen U.S. citizens yet. And then, let's let American voters decide whether they think this approach to these protests is right or wrong. And I think that's, again, the kind of miracle of American democracy is elections.
And we have one more question from the Texas Instruments table. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your work, David. I wanted to ask your thoughts on misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, and how legacy media is treating that.
It's an enormous problem. In terms of, there's just a ton of false information out there. And the last bit, and I know I choked up and stammered at some points, but I covered the war in Bosnia, and when the Serbs had me, and they took me to jail, it was only 10 days. And again, Richard Holbrooke, an incredible public servant and diplomat. His wife, Kati Martin, who's a journalist, helped as well. But the Serbs in my jail cell told me, there I am. Sorry, they believed that these were Serbs, Orthodox Christians, and I was trying to find these mass graves holding Muslims, that I was being paid by Saudi Arabia or by OPEC to write false stories about Muslims being executed. And I remember thinking, you know, wow, conspiracy theories here are really crazy, you know? And social media, though, has brought them here. And so I would urge you to, you know, Facebook feed, you know, TikTok, whatever. If you lean right, subscribe to and read the Wall Street Journal. Fantastic news coverage. Really aggressive coverage about tariffs. Are the tariffs going to, you know, solve American manufacturing or gut the economy? Really strong editorial page opinions about criticizing President Trump for going too far on attacking judges, but the Journal reads right. And if you see something and you happen to be conservative and it's some conspiracy theory, or not conspiracy, some allegation about Nancy Pelosi, and it's not reported in the pages of the Wall Street Journal, it's likely false. And I'll stop. A core problem with disinformation is that there's an obscure law called Section 230. So Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all these platforms have no responsibility for the content that appears on them. When we run a story on NBC Nightly News, we can be sued for millions and millions of dollars for defaming people. And it's this crazy leftover law and a failure of our paralyzed politics that it still exists. So trust a news organization, whatever, New York Times on the left or NBC News. If you're seeing it on social media and you don't see it in the mainstream media, it is likely false. Some people will scoff at that, but we can be sued if we get it wrong. People on X, on Facebook, can say anything they want. And I don't want a government truth committee deciding, oh, this is true and this article's false. And I want people to be able to sue. And it creates a deterrent for us. We have lawyers reading every sensitive story. It would be a huge blight on my career if I edited a national security story, NBC got sued and had to hand over millions of dollars. And that same information matters. It has to be vetted and valued. And it's not just, you know, something you can play with. Sorry.
And with that, Devon Lang, Truist Bank President, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Liz. Thank you, Liz and David, for the great talk today. We really appreciate it. Good afternoon. My name is Devon Lang. I'm the regional president for Truist here in North Texas, and also a council board member. Really honored to be the presenting sponsor for today's event and luncheon. At Truist, our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. And as I was kind of thinking about what to talk about today, you know, quite frankly, I can't think of any career or profession that embodies inspiration and building better lives and communities than teachers. So I want to offer congratulations to our honoree, Emily Ramirez. Thank you, Emily, for all of your hard work and for the differences you make at Lake Highlands High School. You are truly a remarkable teacher whose conviction and compassion are an inspiration for the next generation. Your students are incredibly lucky to have you to guide them through their educational journey. Keep up the great work. I also want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to David Rohde. Thank you, David, for taking the time to be our keynote speaker. Your insights, experiences, and dedication to investigative journalism are truly inspiring, and we deeply appreciate your thoughtful words. Your presence made this event even more special, and we're incredibly grateful for your time and your contribution. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you all again, and have a great day. Thank you.